Hello, everybody, and welcome to Changemakers, your show for new online business owners looking for inspiration and courage as they begin their entrepreneurial journey. On this show, we have solo episodes where yours truly, Valerie Fisher, will discuss neuro-linguistic programming, sales and marketing, and business tips. Majority of the show will have guests who will share stories of their own journey and whose products and services also hope to serve new online business owners like you, our listeners and viewers. I'm excited for this episode, so let's get the ball rolling. Hello, Changemakers. Ready your pens and paper as our next guest offers a lot of value bombs. Please welcome Miss Kimberly Eddy. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another episode of Changemakers. And today we have Kimberly of Thoughts and Designs as our next guest. So it's good morning for us here. Good morning, Kimberly. How are you today?
Good morning, Val. Thanks for having me.
Yay, and thanks for agreeing to be one of my guests. Okay, so let's get it on. First question. And this is what I ask all of my guests as the first question. What is, if there's any, change did you want either in your life or in this world that inspired you to start your business?
Well, I love design work and I've always been a designer, but it has become really hard to find a job that pays a decent amount of money and also gives me sort of, the freedom to do what I know is good design. Because sometimes when you work for other people, they say, oh, let's not mess with that, just do it this way. Also I lost my job in November, where I had been for a couple of years. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go back to freelancing. Because at the time I was still recovering from long-term COVID symptoms. And when you're coughing like that and there's a pandemic, it's really hard to go out and interview for jobs. So I just went on Upwork and really hustled to get the first few clients. And I really felt like I got some really good clients going on there, made some good long-term relationships. And I just want to help people with design.
Yeah.
With good design practices and good accessible design.
Okay. So you just want to help people with good and accessible design. Because you kind of froze up there, so I'm repeating that part.
Okay.
Okay, so we're both pandemic babies. Our businesses are both pandemic businesses because you started in October of last year, and I started in April of last year. And this is why this show is here. This is why my business started, because I want to help people like us who kind of had to restart and reboot their lives and their careers. So how did you start? How did you find your first client? Because you said you started in Upwork. How does it work?
Well, with Upwork, it's important to I try to find smaller, normally when you go, you learn about Upwork, people say, be careful who you apply to, what jobs, and make sure they have a lot of good ratings. And I didn't do any of that because I wanted my first couple of jobs. I just went to people who were brand new on Upwork also. And I said, hey, you know what? I can do this. I knew it was something I could kick out in an afternoon. And I just did a little bit more than what they asked, and then asked them for good reviews. And within 1 month, I became a rising talent, as they say. That's when you earned your first $500, I think it is. And you have all 5-star reviews, you become rising talent. And then Upwork starts to show you to more people because of that. And then it also looks good. So from there, I was able to get, and now I'm top rated. And it's just been 6 months, really.
Oh wow, that's really good. I'm glad you mentioned getting going that extra mile, and I think that's how businesses should start. It's the the concept of giving first before asking, really, asking much or asking anything in return. It's the giver's attitude, and that will take you, places. And that's actually taken you places in such a short time, in only 6 months. And I also believe in the power of social proof. I'm glad you mentioned reviews, because it's something that I also mention like repeatedly to my clients, to my mentees, to ask for reviews. I'm curious to know, what has been the kind of the best review that you were given, something that really kind of melted your heart? Can you tell us about that?
Someone said, I can't remember what he said word for word, but he said, it was like you reached into my brain, knew exactly what I wanted, and things I didn't even know I wanted, but you put it all together and it was funny because when I had applied for that job and it was on Upwork, I remember thinking, this might not be something that I can do, but I noticed nobody else was touching that job. So, and it kept coming back up, and I'm like, I'm just gonna apply and see if I can help this guy. And he was like, you did it, you just nailed it. And then he has invited me to 5 additional jobs. He doesn't post them publicly on Upwork. He posts them on Upwork privately and invites me to it, and I'm the only person invited. And I've done 5 more jobs for him. So that just flatters me, because it's like, wow, I must have really, really, really helped him, because he said he's hired other people and they don't understand, and he gets frustrated and goes, and they're frustrated. And so that made me feel good.
Yes, that's really, it makes us feel good when clients say that, especially if they say something like, you read my mind. How did you do that?
They really need to have a class in art and design school and marketing school, because I think nobody told me when I went to school that art and design, that graphic design and marketing are the same thing, just 2 sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
But I feel like they need to give us a class called Mind Reading 101 or something like that, because you really do need to get inside your client's head, and it takes a long time before you learn how to do that, I think.
Yes, actually it does. It also comes from, like what you said, it is the sincere wanting to help people. And when you do that, I think that your client also feels that. They feel the sincerity of you reaching out and trying to understand what they really want. Because I'm sure when you first talked to him, you asked him questions, and you asked the right questions. That's why you were able to get into his head, which is why he's, a really, really happy client now. Is there something from your corporate job that you kind of are taking with you in this new career of yours?
I think confidence. And it's funny because it was a very toxic workplace, and it was not a good thing. I'm glad to be out of there. But I always have had a bit of what they call imposter syndrome, where you think, oh, those people are better than me at this, and I'm not good enough to get that job or this job or to do this. But after working there for a bit, I realized I was only there a couple months, and it was something that I had never done before. It was design, but it was a kind of design that I really didn't have that much experience with. And within a couple months, I'm thinking, I'm really good at this. And, and not in an arrogant way, but just like, step aside, let me fix it.
Yeah.
And I have tried freelancing in the past, and I'm not very good. And I think it was a confidence thing. It was like, well, I'll try to help you. That's how I would phrase it. I'll try to. Now I'm like, I will do this. This is what your result is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And just that confidence. And also watching the sales team where I had been working, who are going out and getting us the clients. Listening to the sales team, I learned a lot about sales, because, they, like I said, marketing and graphic design, they go together, but nobody teaches the graphic designers how to marketing. And I felt like, or at least they didn't when I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I missed out on how to sell myself, how to really, like, I can do marketing copy for other people. I can do designs and ads for other people, but I never could do it for myself until I had that job.
Ah, yes, because you had to have that understanding of how to say, sell yourself or market market yourself.
Mm-hmm.
With it comes the self-esteem, I guess, you know, the
I think so, yeah.
uh, being the feeling of being worthy of where you are, the clients that you get, you know, all these accolades that you get. Okay, so if I just actually read this morning on LinkedIn, and I'm curious to know what you think about this. They say, are you familiar with Canva?
Yes.
Okay, because they're saying that if you're a good, they're saying, okay, so there's a group some in this LinkedIn trail thread that I saw that says you shouldn't use Canva because you know you're pretending to be a graphic designer, which
Mm-hmm.
and the other graphic designers are saying it's okay because you know these are entrepreneurs and they need to do the work on their own and they still don't have money. What's your take on that? I mean, should entrepreneurs use Canva, or you do you feel like it's taking away income from graphic designers like you?
I would say that's not my tribe, you know. I had to get to that point because I would have originally said, "Oh, you're stealing from graphic designers." I would have been like that like 5 years ago. But now I look at that and I think, you know, when you're starting out, you got to do what you got to do, and you have to hire who you need to hire, or if you can't afford that, then you have to figure it out on your own. You either have time or you have money, and I'm thankful that there's things like Canva, or if you're in the Adobe space, there's Adobe Spark, which is also pretty good. And if that's what you need to do to make your graphics, you know, it helps. You know, but like my clients, and that's the other thing too, as far as niching down, you know, I also realized that part of some people don't want full service design work. You know, I do graphic design and web design. And so I help people who just need something tweaked a little bit. Like they made it in Canva and they're like, I don't know. Or they say
Oops, I lost you there.
something will bill me 2 hours, I'll fix it.
Okay,
Did you
so
lose me?
yeah, so you said or you say that you've just fixed something that the client already created on Canva. And I know,
Mm-hmm.
and correct me if I'm wrong, I know that when you do something in Canva, you can't trademark it, correct? I mean, it's not
I
yours
don't think
because
so.
it's
No. Like I'll never put something that I'm fixing for someone else in my portfolio because you know it was a group project and you know but that's one of the things that sometimes I do on Upwork, these little jobs that I told you about when especially when I was first starting and I wanted to get, you know, a lot of successful jobs on there. Is I would just go in there and tweak something. And some of my graphic designer friends said, well, you know, they just needed, you know, they need somebody to look at it. And I said, well, okay, that font doesn't work with this font. And so let's switch that around. Or someone recently hired me to create a template in Canva so that she could use it for her quotes that she shares on Instagram. You
oh,
know,
that's a good
so I yeah, so I have Canva Pro, so I can help people with that. And I mean, my graphic design professor probably just keeled over hearing me say that. I bought the pro version so I can help people and give them the template. And I think I was cut out, but I did someone, I had a client who did an ebook and she did the whole ebook in Canva, like a little workbook for a lead magnet. And she just needed someone to kind of tighten up the design a little bit. And so she did all the work and I just tweaked it a little bit with my know-how. So I think Canva is a real help to entrepreneurs on a shoestring, especially with the pandemic. A lot of people are hurting financially. It's hard for some, depending on what you're in, to get traction. Whatever works, you
yes.
know?
I really agree because I mean as a startup, my first business, the locally made items we survived on Canva for 2 years because you know like what you said, you do what you need to do with whatever you have, and that's what we had at that time.
Web design because I thought, well, I know how to graphic design. I'm sure I can figure this out. And now I've taken classes through like Google to be certified for different things, and taken HubSpot certification classes to really get good at graphic design and or web design rather. But
um,
that's how I started. So you never know, it could
yeah,
open the door for someone too.
agree. What has been your favorite part about being an entrepreneur so far? Since you started this journey, we kind of, you know, started kind of the same time.
Mm-hmm. I like the freedom that I have. You know, I'm not on someone else's timetable. I'm on my own. I like that I can say, you know, I'm going to take the day off or a couple days off, and the whole world doesn't come collapsing around me. And you know, I like that. I also like that I don't have to leave the house. That's, that might be a personal problem, but I like that I can stay right here and you know.
So be yes, and you know, as you said, you were recovering from COVID when you started this
Yeah.
business. So imagine,
Yeah, like
you know,
I
it.
now I have asthma now after having COVID, so I'm still getting used to that and getting used to how to work out. I don't want to go to the gym and work out because if I start coughing the way I do, everyone's going to be, you know. And with asthma, I can't work out with a mask on. That's just not going to happen. So I have a gym in my basement now, you know. So I like the flexibility of all of it. You know, it's like my whole life has changed in a year and a half, really.
And I know that COVID has changed a lot of our lives, most for the worse, but like the two of us and people I've been interviewing also, this has changed her life, I think for the better, because this is, you know, you have, I think, blossomed into your own self. You know, this gave you, COVID gave you this new career that you are now enjoying.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so what was my next question? So design, I'm just interested. If there is one you know, or technique that you can teach non-designers like us, but marketers and entrepreneurs, you know, just something that you think every non-designer should do or should use just so their design is acceptable or passable, because like you said, you know, like a graphic designer like you will cringe at some of the designs we non-designers create. What if there is one, what could that be? Font, color, or whatever?
I think there's two actually, and they kind of go together. The first one is if a design doesn't work in black and white, that means just one color and white space, then it doesn't work. So if you can't take the color out and have it look good, then it probably isn't good. I know.
Wow.
My my graphic design professor in college told us that, and it was the 1980s, so that's how old I am. And I was horrified because everything was color in the 80s. And but it's true. When I design a logo, if I can't make it work in one color, it doesn't work. You know, I mean, we add color, but if it can't exist in just one color, then the shape needs to be edited. The second one is that white space is your friend. And what I mean by that is you can tell when someone's an amateur or new, or has a boss that doesn't understand design, because they make you fill the whole design with stuff. And you need to let it breathe a little bit. Don't shove all the words together. Don't just because there's some empty space over here doesn't mean it needs a picture. Just keep it empty. Because from a marketing standpoint, good design is about helping the message be understood.
Yes.
And so you need it to be clear where their eye is supposed to go. And if there's too much going on, their eye is going, and they're like, they become agitated and their eye goes away. So you have to focus on just one, on leading the eye through it. And that also happens with white space, because white space feels peaceful and relaxing.
That's so good. Especially the first one. I'm like, oh my God, that is so true.
There's a logo. There's a logo nearby us. I drive down this road and you're going 60 miles an hour on this road because it's rural highway. And this logo is silvery gradient with black type. Mm-hmm. And every time I drive past it, I think it's going to cause a car accident, because you look at it and you have to stare at it to see what it even says. And I still don't know what this company does, because you can't understand it. It actually looks kind of cool, but it doesn't work because it's not black and white. It's like gradients, and he tried to be all fancy and he has scripty writing, and it's like, a logo needs to work on the side of the building while you're driving by at 60 miles an hour, and at a glance you should go coffee shop.
Yes.
Boutique, repair shop. You shouldn't have to think about it.
That's so true. I'm sure that our viewers and listeners today are taking notes. So if you're not taking notes, review and take down notes, okay? Because I'm learning a lot from this conversation, because I'm a non-designer. I just pretend to be a designer to survive.
That's pretty good. I mean, your website for your locally made goods, it looks really nice, I think.
Hey, thank you. That was we did that ourselves based on a template from Shopify. But thank you.
Well, it's nice because, again, it's the white space. It feels nice. It's relaxed. It's not all cluttered up.
Yay, thank you. I will make sure to let my partners know, because that's really in-house. We didn't hire anybody for that. That's one of the things that we have to do as designers. Like what you said, even you're teaching yourself how to do websites on Google, and we also did the same. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. I am taking so much of your time, but thank you so much for all the information. Last question. Okay, so last question. I was thinking between the two, the kind of question, either, well, you can answer any, or you can answer both. Number one is, what is the best advice you can give to new online entrepreneurs like you and I, or what is the best advice you have ever been given? Not necessarily as an entrepreneur, to you as an entrepreneur, but just, a best advice that you were given about life, about anything. So any of those two or both.
Okay. Best advice I've ever been given is a quote by G.K. Chesterton that says, an inconvenience is an adventure wrongly considered. In other words,
an inconvenience is a
adventure wrongly considered. So in other words, think of an inconvenience like an adventure. And then if you change your mindset on what's going on, everything's better. But the best advice for new entrepreneurs would be act. Don't keep planning. You don't need another course. I mean, it's good to get some courses, but if you're just taking courses and you're not stepping out and acting, the universe doesn't conspire with you until you start moving forward. You have to move forward. And I'm one of those people that's in my own head too much. And I'll watch videos and I'll listen to a bunch of podcasts and never take a step. And I once I finally took a step, and small steps, like all these courses on Upwork said, go for the big clients. Well, no one's going to hire little old me for a big project if I have 0 reviews. I have no completed projects. So I said, hey, let me help you with your little Canva design. Let me help you with your ebook. And, so get your feet wet. And the other thing, this is too much information. I don't know. People are all about passive income, and I love passive income. I actually made $120 last month in passive income, which is huge for me. That's the most I've ever made without doing a thing. And I also made a bunch of active income too. Until you make active income, you don't know how to make passive income. It's gonna be a slog. So you have to make your active income first, and then you can slowly.
Yeah.
And that goes again with taking a step, stepping out.
Moving.
Just move forward, and
yeah,
it'll start to come together. It'll all merge.
Correct. I always say that transformation will only happen if you have a plan of action. You have to act, or else you won't be transformed. It'll just all stay in your head. You know what's good.
Emphasis on action, not plan. My first month, I kept making plans, and then finally I said, this is stupid. I need to just do it.
That's true too, with emphasis on action. Not the
That's what I need anyways, because I'm
not the planning part. That is so true. It is a pleasure. It has been a pleasure to have you on our show today. Please let us know where we can find you. So people, my community, followers, listeners, anyone who's watching this today, guys, she can help you. Because sometimes we feel like, I don't want to hire a designer because, they're only there for a complete website, or they're only there for a complete poster. Kimberly is there to actually also help you with the little tweaks. It's the first time I've ever heard anyone do that, because sometimes some of the designers I know are kind of like purists. Like, it's not my design, I'm not going to touch that, But Kimberly,
you can't put it in your portfolio.
So please reach out to her. Kimberly, let us know where we can find you.
It's Thoughts and Designs at .studio, STUDIO. So THOUGHTSANDDESIGNS .studio.
Okay. I will also, so don't worry guys, if you're listening to this and you didn't catch that, I will put that in our show notes. So you're sure to catch her. Are you on LinkedIn? Any other social media sites?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn as Kimberly Eddy. And I'm also on, I have a Facebook page for Thoughts and Designs, and an Instagram, Thoughts and Designs. So, and a Pinterest, although I haven't really done much with that lately.
Okay, so Facebook, Thoughts and Designs, Instagram, Thoughts and Designs, LinkedIn is Kimberly Eddy, and also on Pinterest, just so you have an idea of her designs and what she does. Again, thank you very much, Kimberly, for joining us today. And, I'm going to review my notes, and the next design I will put out there, I will make sure looks good on black and white. I think that's my favorite. That's my personal favorite.
Yeah, because it helps people who are colorblind too.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so thank you all for listening and or watching this episode of Change Makers. See you again in our next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.